Good afternoon, brothers and sisters. This is Dr. Makemba. We welcome you on this platform once again. We invite you to engage us on this platform as we continue with our Wonders of Wisdom series. Today we are yet looking at a very interesting subject matter. Today we'll be talking about relationships. And we'll be contrasting the aspects of relationships from a man's perspective and from a woman's perspective. The discussion will be centered around mainly love relationships. Let's first and foremost talk about and define what a relationship is. A relationship is basically a state of being connected, where two individuals are connected. That is basically what a relationship is in a nutshell. Now, of course, when you look at love relationships, and I'm going to be specific, is heterosexual relationships that I'm talking about, meaning a man and a woman. Now, let's look at the needs that often drives decision-making in entering relationships. Let's start off with a male character or a male figure, a man. By nature, as men, we are providers. We are the head of our family institutions. And we are the one that provide the security that our wives and our children enjoy. It then must not be surprising to you when a man is making a decision, especially in picking a young lady who he wants to get into a relationship with, or even spend the rest of his life with. Her qualifications, her achievements, her status in society does not really matter to a man. Why? Because a man is not looking for security in a relationship. He is the one that provides security in a relationship. This is why it's so very confusing, especially to a lot of young ladies. And I know we talk about women emancipation. I am for women emancipation. I think our women must be empowered. But most of the time, young ladies, they make these mistakes thinking now that they have all the qualifications in terms of academic achievement, or they got, a particular occupation. Maybe she's a manager or she's a chief executive officer. She assumes that must be a plus for a man in wanting to get into a relationship with her. Quite the contrary, actually. Because as men, we are security providers, we are comfort providers, we are the head of our family institutions. We do not look at those qualities in a lady. What we want by far is a woman that is able to respect and honor us, encourage us, submit to our authority. And that's what often dictate our decision-making processes. Now let's look at the opposite. Women in general, when they make a decision in who to get into a relationship with, they look at those aspects, security. They ask themselves questions like, if I get into a relationship with this man, possibly marry him and start a family with him, is he able to provide for me and my children? Will he be able to pay school fees for our children? Can he afford to buy us a house where we live in as a family? Those are the questions that normally resonate in the mind of a woman when she's about to make a decision. Why? Because she needs security. And oftentimes women derive and get their security from the men they are in a relationship with. Now, this must then also explain why you find a very successful man, he will go and just get a young lady that probably doesn't even have any university education and settle down with that young lady. Why? Because he will be the one providing security for her. All he wants is companionship, respect, honor. All that a man wants is to come home to find a woman that, respect him, a woman that take care of the house, a woman that is able to take care of his children, That's basically what a man wants. One day I've listened to this young individual speak, and how he was talking about the fact that he wasn't working, it was only his wife working, and the wife was making more money than he does. And I looked at this fellow and I thought to myself, yeah, but you are very stupid actually, because your wife is now taking up your role in that house, and as long as she has taken up the role in that house, she will not have respect for you whatsoever, and therefore she will not submit to you as a man. It's just that simple. Of course, going forward, now if you look at these two contrasts that we have just highlighted, it's very important that we find a balance. Of course, we want our girls emancipated, we want our girls educated, we want our girls free, we want them also to develop the ability to take care of themselves, earn their own money, buy themselves the good things that they want to have. But I want to speak specifically to the young ladies that are watching me today, especially our graduates. It's all good, you need to work hard, you need to climb up the ladders of life. But when you get into a relationship, now you have agreed to spend the rest of your life with this man. If you are a manager at your workplace, you can't be a manager in your house. You don't get home and start ordering your husband around like you order those guys that are working, in your office, your subordinates. You need to balance the two. Yes, you are a manager at your office. You are used to ordering men around, telling them what to do. That is okay at the office, and it stays at the office. When you get to your house, your man is your man. You submit to him, you respect him, you cook for him, you take care of his children, and he provides for the family. That is just the way it is. And if you have a tip over in that approach, you will have problems in your family. Believe me, you will have problems. The day you stop respecting your man, you will have all kinds of problems in that family. That is just the way it is. Of course, going forward, let's talk about the whole concept of love. Let me first give you a perspective of what a man interprets love is. First and foremost, as men, we interpret respect as love. If you as a lady go to your husband or your boyfriend and tell him, I love you, he doesn't understand that language. But when you show him the respect, he interprets the respect you are showing him as love. And how do you show your husband or your boyfriend respect? First and foremost, you show him respect by holding him in higher esteem or higher regards. You speak well of your men. You praise your men. You encourage your men. You stand with your men in the value systems that he stands for. You should be the one to, always, stand up and say, this man I have respect for. And I am prepared to support this man. As men, we don't need flowers on Valentine's Day. They don't mean anything to us. Even if you forget my birthday, I won't get offended. Because it's not in our nature to wanting flowers and to be told, I love you. Believe me, it's not. That language you don't understand. Of course, on the other hand, as men, we need to understand that, these young ladies, they want to be loved. They want to be told, I love you. They want to be told, you are beautiful. They want to be given flowers on their birthday. They want to be given presents on Valentine's Day. They expect you to remember the anniversary of your wedding and take it on a candle night dinner. That's what a woman wants. As men, we don't want that. We just want respect. So once we get these, dynamics in place, we are sure going to establish sweet, meaningful, successful relationships. Now, it's very interesting that most of the time is these simple things, that we take for granted. And over the years in your relationships, you just don't understand why there seems not to be any progress. There's no happiness, It's simply because we do not understand, nor do we have a right approach to these things. In the Bible, in the book of Ephesians chapter 5, I believe it's verse 22 through 25, we read, "Wife, submit to your husband." Now, it's very interesting, and I want to submit to you that no woman will submit to a man she has no respect for. And if you read further down, I think in verse 5, it says, "Husband, love your wife just as Christ loved the church and died for the church." And there's nowhere in the Bible, for instance, where it says, women, love your husband. So if God, who created us, knows what it takes to make our relationships successful, I think it's high time we do an introspection. We do a self-search and a soul-search. Ask ourselves this question: do we really understand the basic needs in a relationship? Do we have the right context in terms of how we, apply ourselves in relationships? And when we begin to ask these questions and get the right understanding, guess what? We are able to build productive, meaningful, worth a while relationships. This is your brother, Dr. Makemba, saying, I just want you to build a meaningful relationship with your loved ones. Go out there and do the right thing. Till we meet again.